Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Abate. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Rufai. All our viewers out there. So we begin in Asia. Shigeru Ishiba has refuted the local reports that we talked about yesterday that he is going to resign. He says he plans to stay on. But really, the word on the street over in Japan is that it's when, not if. He will resign. This trade deal, again, with the U.S. seems to be what he's going to use to ride into the sunset. But as of right now, he has refuted the local reports that he is going to resign. Still in Asia, there was supposed to be a meeting today between Koo Yoon Chul, who is the finance minister of Korea, on the right there with Scott Bessent. Bessent, apparently, they said it's a scheduling clash. This is what happens when you're negotiating trade deals with so many folks. There was apparently some cyber attack that impacted Microsoft. Microsoft has blamed China for it. So I think there's going to be a meeting in Sweden. So Bessent is off there, and then so they had to call off this particular meeting with the South Koreans. The Koreans, of course, want to be able to get their own trade deal ahead of the August 1st deadline. More trade talks. The European Union delegation is supposed to be in China today. These are old pictures, but that's Macron, of course, Xi Jinping, von der Leyen, to discuss trade issues. They have their own back and forth on pharmaceuticals and electric vehicles. Also, because of what's happening with the U.S., they're having to, forge their own ties, but they've got their own difficulties. We understand from reports that the Trump is adamant about a 15% baseline tariff for the EU. They thought it was going to be 10. They want vehicles, and they also want pharmaceuticals to be exempted. Trump was in Washington, D.C. yesterday at winning the AI race summit. And he said, while he was speaking, he said we'll have a straight, simple tariff of anywhere between 15 to 50%. Everyone thought it was going to be a 10% baseline. Now, that same day, the Wall Street Journal put out an article on if everybody remembers, and I'll credit Rufai for calling this thing audio money from the beginning, the SoftBank OpenAI $500 billion Stargate project. The journal is reporting that it is struggling to get off the ground. I think after 6 months now since it's been announced, not one data center has come up or even a deal signed. Apparently, Masha Son of SoftBank and Sam Altman of OpenAI are having disagreements on where the data centers will be located, which is really odd because there's a huge demand for data centers, which is what's going to power these artificial intelligence chips and so on. So to be disagreeing on where they're supposed to be located when the entire United States needs it is quite odd. But anyway, that's the latest on that. Tesla, we previewed their earnings and they were not good. 22 billion in revenue, 12% drop. Their deliveries of 384,000, a 13% drop. Net income, 16% drop. And essentially, these shares fell about 4% in after-hours trading. We're going to see where they end up here. Elon Musk on the earnings call warned of turbulence ahead on that particular earnings call. Also, in the European Union, new vehicle registrations just dropped for June, and Tesla's fell about 40%. So here he says we probably could have a few rough quarters. I'm not saying we will, but we could. And so after he said that, the shares continued to fall. Again, they're facing more challenges. The tax credits are going. The brand of Tesla has been hit because of what he's been doing in politics. This is the June EU registrations. Now, overall vehicle registrations, new vehicle registrations in the European Union were down 5%, but when you carve out electric vehicles and BEVs, basically those went up. So Tesla's numbers were falling, while the likes of Volkswagen and other competitors in the electric vehicle subsector were going down, were going up. Now, Neuralink, I think Musk is just, making news every. Neuralink is his brain interface company that is supposed to input chips in people who are paraplegic or suffering from Parkinson's disease. Bloomberg is reporting that there was an investor presentation they made yesterday, and they are eyeing about $1 billion in revenue by 2031. They are looking to implant about 20,000 chips in the brains of these people who are suffering from these diseases so they can give them mobility. They are expecting FDA approval by 2029, and they're seeking to have about 5 clinics operating in 6 years. I mean, I have to say, Elon Musk is really a once-in-a-generation entrepreneur. It's a real, when you compare it to the likes of Bill Gates of Microsoft or the folks at Apple and so on and so forth. He just has so many pots on the fire and really pushing innovation forward. It's just a shame that all this other political stuff has popped up to distract. But we'll see what happens with Neuralink, because they're really doing some innovative stuff in the medical field. I think finally, Adefemi has already touched on this, so not much to add on the Nigerian front. But the U.S. oil exports, becoming a net oil exporter to Nigeria in February and March as a result of maintenance on U.S. refineries, and also the Dangote refinery as well, popping up in operations. Those are the numbers there. February, they exported 111,000 barrels versus importing 54,000. March was 169 to 72. And pretty much FX savings for Nigeria. And then, not really much to add. Oba Atudeko, I'll just say that this day reported this story last week when they first talked about the share sale and accurately called it that these charges against him had been dropped in exchange for selling those shares. So this is the EFCC coming out and essentially validating that report.
Okay.
We don't have time, they say, but
Anyway,
on the U.S. now becoming net exporter of crude oil to Nigeria, the U.S., I think, what they have is the WTI, right?
Yes.
Western Texas Intermediate.
Yeah.
Nigeria has the Brent crude, the finest blend.
No, Bonny Light. Bonny Light.
Bonny Light,
Better than
Brent
Brent.
crude.
Yeah.
Is
Better
this-
than Brent.
Yeah.
Better sweet crude.
Well, the best in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bonny
But
Light.
we are not able to provide it for refineries in Nigeria.
That's right.
We are importing. So it's a shame
On us.
of a nation
Yes.
that you are talking about. Now that Dangote refinery trying to upgrade from 650,000 barrels per day to 700,000 barrels per day,
Yeah.
now has to go to the U.S. And the U.S. now is exporting less. We are importing more from the U.S.
But you know why, right?
when
I
we
mean,
have
it's
more.
important to
Forward
also
sales.
forward sales, infrastructure,
Infrastructure,
vandalism. So there's the
problem
reasons
within
why.
the oil and gas sector
yeah.
in Nigeria.
Yeah, exactly.
So if this were
Terminal.
a better managed, better organized oil and gas sector, we will not face that kind of embarrassing
That is correct.
situation.
Yeah.
That is my point.
Fantastic. Well,
Thank
point
you,
well made.
Rotus.
Thank you, Dr.
Many other issues you raised, but no time.